Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about astrology and the shooting of the U.S. drone. Now, this took place near Jask, Iran at 4:05 a.m. on June 20th, 2019. The house cuffs are going to be off slightly because this is approximate location. Now, the first thing that stands out to me in this event chart is a mutable T-square configuration that consists of an opposition from Jupiter and Sagittarius in the 7th house to Venus in Gemini in the 1st house. Now, this is squared by Neptune in Pisces in the 11th house. Now, the opposition indicates perhaps enlarged, self-righteous, foolhardy, recklessness from the open adversary, in this case perhaps representing Iran, opposing peaceful communications, which is Venus in Gemini. Now, the focal point, being Neptune in Pisces in the 11th house, can be that point of overemphasis, over-accentuation. This suggests perhaps doing something confounding and confusing in connection with the drones, the aircraft drone, which of course that aircraft can be associated with the 11th house. Confounding, confusing energy. Neptune is also about dissipation and dissolving energy. Uranus in astrology governs airplanes and aircrafts. Uranus in this case is intercepted in the 12th house in this event chart. It's also a singleton. It can make it more prominent and more pronounced and stand out more. Now, it could also further reinforce and reaffirm a situation that may have been somewhat nebulous or unclear as far as the precise location of the drone getting shot down goes. Now, Gemini is the ascendant in this chart. Now, Gemini, of course, could be rather two-faced energy. We're hearing two different sides to the story as far as the location of the drone, where it was shot down. The chart ruler falls in the 3rd house. Now, Mercury, that is Mercury being in its accidental dignity. It is conjunct Mars, which could give added energy to this. It's something that obviously was talked about excessively and extensively. Now, the ruler of the 3rd house is in the 9th house of global communications in foreign countries. This is the way this could manifest a lot of that loquacious, voluble 3rd house energy being injected into global communications. Of course, this was a lot of communication about things associated with foreign countries. The moon in Capricorn, of course, moon in Capricorn being in its detriment near 29 degrees, of course an anaretic and critical degree, conjunct Pluto. Now, this could be indicative of very cold, ruthless, perhaps a literal nuclear reaction, a response to this situation, perhaps being directed at a foreign country, being in the 9th house. Given the moon was near 29 degrees, that could be, of course, represent the full culmination of the sign, and undoubtedly had created a crisis. The 29th degree can be a crisis, upheaval degree. The moon is connected with the public, so you could do the math. Now, Donald Trump retracted an earlier decision regarding retaliation. What's pronounced and stands out to me is the abhorrent condition of Mars in this event chart. Mars is in its full in Cancer at the dreaded 22nd degree. It makes 3 oppositions to Capricorn planets in conjunct to Jupiter. The conjunction to Mercury suggests anger associated with brooding over past hurts and being defensive, given this is Cancerian energy. Now, the opposition, of course, being adversarial, Mars to Saturn, suggests possible anger unleashed that may have been suppressed and repressed for a protracted period, and is finally let out in a moment that may have been inopportune, but it was still released nonetheless. Now, also, sometimes I think when you have this energy, you could also, when you have a Mars in opposition to Saturn, that could indicate, this could manifest in hitting something where you feel it's safe without that fear of retribution or retaliation. However, given that Mars being, and I want to go back, Mars was actually in its fall in Cancer. I might have said detriment, but Mars is in its fall in Cancer. Given that Mars being in Cancer, sometimes this could be about illogical anger and acrimonious energy that may have been lashed out at a more formidable opponent without worrying about potential repercussions. Now, the Sun in Gemini was making a tight inconjunct aspect to the Moon in Capricorn. Now, the Sun in Gemini, the basic want, of course, could be about responding quickly. The Moon in Capricorn, of course, could be about the emotional need, subconscious need, perhaps to be more disciplined, premeditative, and restricting energy. Now, the thing about this is, you look at this could be about a disparity between shining communication, so to speak, versus actions, or I'm sorry, it's really about actions, and you're talking about, I'm sorry, let me go back again, people, I apologize. This could be also another way this could manifest is this could be about shining in communications versus actions taking precedence over words at this time as well, and also the disparity between taking action on this and also feeling perhaps with quick-witted action, a quick response being its Gemini energy, and the feeling of an issue, which might be something that might be related to despondency and sadness, given that this is Capricorn energy. Considering if a retaliation took place, there might be a lot of dejection, of course, and despondency connected with the lives lost. So there is obviously an adjustment that had to be made because of this, as inconjunct aspects are about. Hold on a moment, people. I'm sorry, I'm just losing my voice here. I do apologize, people. I'm very sorry about that. But another thing, excuse me, going on a Gemini Moon tangent, Donald Trump may very well have shown he has a lot more compassion and empathy and sympathy than people have given him credit for. By retracting a possible retaliation, he showed a lot of heart. Now, he does have Leo ascendant at 29 degrees, the full culmination. Maybe that's part of the reason he shows that heart as well, because heart is associated with Leo anatomically speaking. Now, he said he didn't want to do it because he felt approximately 150 people would be killed, and he does have 3 planets in Cancer, but it's intercepted in his 11th house. Now, this may have been difficult for him to access that energy at times, and for others to readily see it being in the 11th house, but because it's in the 11th house, perhaps it became more recognized through social media at this time, and through a situation that was connected with aircrafts, because the 11th house does govern aircrafts. Now, given he has Mercury in Cancer, he may have actually retreated to a desolate spot where he could make a decision after assimilating the information very extensively. Maybe his retraction might be showing others that he does have some empathy and compassion, and more so than he was originally given credit for. What's interesting about this is that my Cancer Sun almost makes an exact conjunction to his Mercury in Cancer. So I guess maybe it's manifesting, perhaps in me, figuratively speaking, shining the light, so to speak, on something that he said that intimated that he does care about people. Carrying energy could be associated with Cancer, and over something that he may have contemplated extensively about. Contemplative energy, of course, can be associated with the zodiac sign Cancer. Now, he also has his Moon in Sagittarius in accidental dignity in the 4th house. Now, that could give Moon in Cancer undercurrents. It's similar to having the Moon in Cancer, but of course you have to blend in that jocular, jovial Moon in Sagittarius energy as well. Donald Trump, as many of you may know, was also born on a full moon lunar eclipse, so that energy can be intensified and amplified. So I think there's enough to say he shows a lot more compassion and empathy, then people think, and there are indicators of his chart for that. Sadly, he's been vilified by many, and a lot of people have only seen the negative side of Donald Trump, and I think he does have certain positive aspects to his personality and positive attributes, but sometimes you might have to look a little deeper, given again that Cancerian energy is intercepted in his 11th house. Now, transit Jupiter is making a conjunction to his natal moon in Sagittarius. Now, as I've stated in previous videos, Jupiter can be rather paradoxical, could be very strongly benign and benevolent, but could also have the tendency to enlarge and expand. In this case, it may have enlarged and expand potential reckless, foolhardy, emotional response on his part. But however, Moon in Sagittarius energy is not vindictive or vengeful. Provocation may come easily to many people that have that placement, but they do often have a forgive and forget philosophy. Moon in Sagittarius energy could respond to things where they're practically demoralizing or demeaning a person one moment, but they often will forgive and forget, and they'll often will bounce back from adverse things with almost this perpetual smile right on their face. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for astrology and the shooting of the U.S. drone. Stay tuned next time, where I'll be continuing my monthly horoscope segments. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.